Part 1. The Hook, 115 souls. Men, women, and children. An entire colony vanished into the salt air and shifting sands of the Outer Banks. There were no signs of a struggle, no burned-down cabins, no mass graves, no scattered arrows or broken blades, only the oppressive heavy silence of the North Carolina wilderness. In August of 1590, John White finally stepped back onto the shores of Roanoke Island, a place he had dreamed of for 3 long, agonizing years. He expected to hear the sounds of children playing, the rhythmic strike of axes against wood, the bustle of a thriving English outpost in the heart of the New World. Instead, he found a ghost town. The houses had been taken down, the fortifications were overgrown with vines, and the very air seemed to hold its breath. Only a single cryptic word, Croatoan, carved into a weathered wooden post, stood as a sentinel over the mystery. What truly happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? Was it a calculated massacre hidden by time? Did they succumb to a merciless drought? Or did they simply walk into the deep woods and trade their English lives for a different native one? Today, we peel back the layers of history, searching for the truth beneath the sand and the shadow. This is not just a story of disappearance, it is a story of desperation, war, and the enduring human will to survive against the impossible. Part 2. The build-up. To understand the disappearance, we must first understand the sheer terrifying isolation of the 1587 expedition. England, under the iron-willed Queen Elizabeth I, was locked in an existential struggle with the Spanish Empire. The New World was a battlefield of gold and God. John White, an artist and mapmaker, was commissioned to lead a group of middle-class Londoners, families, not just soldiers, to establish a permanent settlement. This was a radical gamble. They weren't just looking for gold, they were looking for a home. Among the settlers was White's own daughter, Eleanor, and her husband, Ananias Dare. Shortly after their arrival in the heat of August, Eleanor gave birth to a daughter, Virginia Dare. She was the first English child born in the Americas, a symbol of hope and the future of an English empire across the sea. But the hope was fragile. Supplies were dangerously low. The local tribes were rightfully suspicious, and the specter of starvation loomed large. Desperate, the colonists pleaded with White to return to England for help. He left his daughter, his granddaughter, and his entire life behind, promising to return within months. He had no way of knowing that the massive Spanish Armada was about to sail for England, dragging his country into a war that would freeze the Atlantic and trap him across the ocean for 3 long, silent years. Every night for 1,000 nights, White stared westward across the waves, wondering if his family was still alive, or if he was returning to a graveyard. Part 3. The Twist and Enigma. When the anchor finally dropped on White's birthday in 1590, the excitement was tempered by a growing sense of dread. As his small boat neared the shore, he saw smoke rising from the island, a sign of life. They sounded trumpets and sang English songs, calling out to their friends and kin, but there was no answer, only the wind. When they reached the settlement, the truth was more chilling than any battle. The colony was gone. The site had been meticulously dismantled. This wasn't the work of a raiding party. This was a planned relocation. White had given the colonists a specific set of instructions. If they were forced to leave, they were to carve the name of their destination onto a tree or post. If they were in distress, if they were being attacked, they were to add a Maltese cross above the name. He found the word Croatoan. He found the letters Crow on another tree. But there was no cross, no sign of violence. The chests he had buried 3 years prior were dug up and looted, his maps and drawings ruined by the rain. But where were the people? Croatoan was the name of an island to the south, home to a friendly tribe led by Manteo, a man who had traveled to England and was a staunch ally of the settlers. White wanted to sail south immediately, but a ferocious storm was brewing. The wind lashed the ships, anchors were lost, and the captains, fearing for their lives and their vessels, refused to go further. They turned back for the Caribbean and then for England. John White would never see Roanoke again. He died a broken man, never knowing the fate of the little girl who was the first of her kind in a strange land. Part 4. The Theory. So what happened to those 115 souls? For over 4 centuries, the theories have run wild. The most accepted one, integration. The settlers, facing starvation and abandonment, simply moved south to Croatoan Island and assimilated with the local tribe. It's the most logical human answer. But then there's the darker side, the slaughter theory. Some believe the Powhatan, led by the formidable Chief Powhatan, wiped them out as they expanded their territory, a grim possibility that lingers in the shadows of history. Then there's the controversial legacy of the Dare Stones. In the 1930s, a series of stones were discovered, purportedly inscribed by Eleanor Dare herself, detailing the colony's struggle and eventual demise. They were hailed as a breakthrough, only to be branded as elaborate hoaxes decades later. Yet a whisper of doubt remains. Were they all fakes, or did someone find a genuine fragment and build a lie around it? The truth, it seems, prefers to stay buried in the Virginia soil. Part 5. The Search and Modern Science. The mystery of Roanoke isn't just folklore, it's a cold case that refuses to close. In the modern era, the first colony foundation has turned to archaeology, scouring the island for a shred of evidence. They haven't found the colony, but they found something else. Site X. Excavations there uncovered 16th century European pottery and artifacts, hinting that some settlers may have actually branched out inland, miles away from the main settlement. This sparked a wave of DNA testing, hoping to find descendants among the local population. It's a complex, fraught puzzle, trying to trace bloodlines through centuries of blending and migration. Yet even with all our satellites, ground-penetrating radar, and genetic sequencing, we are still staring at a void. The site is a whisper in the wind, a ghost story written in the dirt. We know more than we did in 1590, but the core mystery remains. Roanoke wasn't just a colony, it was a promise that simply vanished. Part 6. Outro and CTA. The story of the 115 settlers of Roanoke is more than a tragedy. It's a mirror for our own search for answers. We crave closure, we demand the truth, but sometimes history prefers its secrets. As we piece together the fragments, we aren't just looking for a lost colony. We're looking for ourselves in the silence they left behind. If this mystery kept you awake, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're digging deep into the archives of the unknown every week, and you don't want to miss what we unearth next. Drop a comment below. Did they integrate or were they erased? Let's get the debate started. I'll see you in the next one.